Hi, Joe Alton, MD here, also known as Dr. Bones of the survival website doomandbloom.net, co-author of the Book Excellence Award-winning 4th edition of the Survival Medicine Handbook, and designer of quality medical kits at store.doomandbloom.net. If you know me, it's probably because of my writings and videos meant to help the family medic in times of trouble, times when the medical infrastructure is broken down, hospitals are out of commission, and doctors are not accessible for the foreseeable future. Survival settings, in other words. In 2010, I first wrote about what could happen to those people with minor infections like cellulitis if there was no availability of antibiotics. I mentioned a History Channel program called After Armageddon, where a paramedic and his family try to survive in a post-apocalyptic landscape. In the show, the paramedic gets a minor injury, which he recognizes has become infected. No one has antibiotics, so this trained professional watches his infection worsen helplessly, only to die a few weeks later. I looked for ways a family medic could obtain the supplies necessary to avoid such preventable deaths. Antibiotics were the way to go. Having been involved in the aquarium hobby and raised tilapia in ponds, I knew of some available for fish. And I decided to check these out and found that about a dozen of them were identical down to the numbers and letters on the capsules to those used in humans. These few were available only in human dosages, even though they were meant to treat your pet guppy. So I suggested getting a supply, not for use in normal times, but to be held in reserve for disasters that take society to the brink. They were available without a prescription, and you can get them in unlimited quantities. That has now changed, and you should know about it. On December 14th, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced the issuance of 9 warning letters to manufacturers and distributors of unapproved, quote-unquote, antibiotic animal drugs for violations of federal law. The following companies received letters: American Aquarium Products, Aquanest Biotic, Aquarium Pharmacy LLC, California Veterinary Supply, Chewy, Kraft Drug, Midland Veterinary Services LLC, Silver Lease LLC, and Valley Veterinary Clinic Ltd. Limited. The agency claimed that these drugs were never registered for approval as veterinary medicine, and thus the FDA considers them to be new animal drugs, despite their being around for at least 2 decades. They say that using them not under the direct supervision of a doctor or veterinarian contributes to the development of antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobial resistance happens when microbes like bacteria become resistant to the drugs designed to kill them. The statement is true. Injudicious use of antibiotics can lead to just that. Of course, I've always recommended these widely available meds as part of your medical storage for use in societal collapse scenarios, something that, despite all the nation's problems, has not yet happened. If such an event happened and the family medic had some of these drugs stored away, they might prevent some of the unnecessary deaths that might occur in such scenarios by eliminating bacterial infections. That is no longer an option. The products affected by the FDA warning are not, so far, being applied for approval as a new animal drug, nor has the FDA conditionally approved them for the index of legally marketed unapproved new animal drugs for minor species. These are the main legal pathways for animal drugs to reach the marketplace. Thus, the FDA considers them as being illegally marketed over the counter until an application is made and the approval process is complete. That may never happen. In the recent past, the FDA has removed accessibility without a prescription to many drugs for food-producing livestock. But now the animal products referenced in the warning letters are marketed and labeled for minor species such as aquarium fish and pet birds. They contain many antimicrobials that are important in human medicine, all of which I've written about in the past, but they would be useful as a tool for the group medic in austere settings where modern medicine does not exist. The FDA goes on to quote prominent veterinarians about the risk of a layman using these medicines. None of what they say is wrong, at least in normal times. In a post-apocalyptic setting, though, this will be a little consolation to a parent with a sick child or a woman with an infection after childbirth. The FDA claims correctly that many animal drugs are not identical to similar products approved for use in people. I have only written about those that are indeed the same, were produced by human pharmaceutical companies and repackaged, and were offered only in human dosages with identical markings as the human drug. The FDA recommends that anyone currently using or administering the products included in these warning letters should safely dispose of them. That's up to you. In normal times, when antibiotics are easily available by prescription from your family doctor or vet, that might be a reasonable thing to do. But in the long-term disaster scenarios, which I normally write about, well, it would be useful to have some in your storage, if only to use under the supervision of a qualified physician or veterinarian. The FDA states that they'll continue to monitor the marketplace and take necessary steps to protect human and animal health against companies selling unapproved animal drugs that can put people and animals at risk. Today, when the ambulance is heading in your direction and the hospital is just a few minutes away, that's just the way it is. Of course, I'm not sure there are many vets out there that will examine and treat my pet guppy, and I also remember a $200 and something bill to treat a sick parakeet. But for survival settings, the lack of antibiotics will be just one less weapon against the incredible challenges that face the family medic if the medical infrastructure is knocked out long term. This is Joe Alton, MD, wishing you the best of health in good times or bad. Thanks for watching. Hey, learn more about off-grid medical topics in the 4th edition of the Survival Medicine Handbook and get your family medically prepared with quality kits and individual supplies from our entire line at store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, Nurse Amy here. Just wanted to remind you guys not to forget to visit store.doomandbloom.net for all your holiday shopping, gifts for birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, any day actually. If you want to help somebody survive a first aid issue, make sure you go to store.doomandbloom.net.